Hey, how's it going, everybody? Jamie McDonald back with Mike Beaning for episode 11. It's funny, just before we went live, I had to stop for a second and get out the digits here and start counting. What episode are we on? It's 11. Double check with Mike here to make sure I was correct in that. So, we're here. It's Tuesday night. We're doing the every other Tuesday thing through the month of February until schedules readjust, and then we'll get back onto our Wednesday schedule.
Yeah.
But here it is, Tuesday night, and hoping to see some people here in the chat room because I've got the chat room opened up tonight for a Q&A. So if you've got questions, you should have that option available to ask questions, and then we'll try to get them answered for you as well. And as always, at the end of the show, this hits YouTube, and I'll go over there. And anything that we discuss on tonight's show, I'll make sure that URLs are available on the YouTube page so you can follow the links and see what we were talking about. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
we've kind of got a format that we're going to start using now as well. Mike's he's so good at keeping things organized and structured. I'm like scatterbrained, so if it wasn't for Mike, this would probably just be me rambling all the time. But so we're going to kind of work with this little format that we've put together, or Mike has put together. We're going to start off with some news, and we'll work through, our usual thing, the photos that we do, and maybe some tips and techniques, and we'll just kind of loosen things up a bit at the end there, but I know Mike's got some cool, interesting stuff to talk about on the news, some stuff that we've...
Yeah, definitely. How you doing, everyone? Glad to be here again tonight. It's only about 3 or 4 degrees here in Detroit. It's probably one where Jamie's at.
Yeah.
But do you see who's on right now? Do you see names of, is Catherine on, that from Australia?
I don't have that available to me. I just can see that we've got viewers watching live, but no names said.
All right, well, we'll give her a shout out if she's there.
Well,
That's always good on the other side of the world,
Indeed.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about some news, and these are just things we've picked off of different websites through the week, and of course this week CES, lots of things happening in Las Vegas. Doesn't sound like it's the greatest for photographers right now. Sounds like automotive, and electronics is really where it's at, which is great too. But one of the things that's really interesting, and I know it's been brought up on a couple of things, I know Derek Story covered it even, is this new Seagate drive. It's 7 millimeters thick. Sounds like a little bit maybe thicker than an iPhone. It's just amazing that this thing's gonna be 500 gig of drive, and it's gonna sell for $99 coming out January. That's a portable drive.
So is that solid state? Because that's like ridiculously thin.
It's USB. What they say 3 and that new 3 Plus or whatever. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be cut off like for Lightning, or not the Lightning cable, but the Mac version.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be going USB, but still, it's got to be solid. It's got to be solid state. I can't imagine it be spinning that quick and that small.
Right.
But it looks really sharp too. It looks like it's a mirror. It looks like you could pull it out of your back pocket and use it as a mirror, which is interesting.
And you said the capacity on that is what? It's 500 gigs?
500 gig to start. I wonder if they're going to get a little bit bigger and go to a terabyte or something. That'd be interesting to see if they did. But so that's definitely one that's an interesting news story coming out of there. I know yours. I was looking at yours. We got this list here. Jamie's is this is an interesting one. Your first one. I'll let you just talk about it and say it.
Yeah. So one of the websites that I frequent regularly, photography-wise, is Petapixel, and they had this little write-up on their handmade. It's a handmade product. I'm all about handmade. A lot of my straps are handmade. I like the whole custom bling for your camera kind of thing. But these are handcrafted bamboo grips, and it looks like primarily for the mirrorless cameras, because I see the cameras mentioned are like the Olympus line, the OMD EM1 and the EM10, and I think the EM5 might even have it available. Some of the Fuji cameras, the Sony all the mirrorless cameras seem to get these grips made by this guy. They're handmade out of bamboo. They're set up so that it's basically gonna be an ergonomic grip. So if you've handled the EM10, you know that it's pretty small, and I think a lot of people when they first get it don't realize that it really is that small of a camera. For some people that have larger hands, I'm not one of those people. They complain, that I don't know where to put my fingers. So these grips kind of offer that. It's an ergonomics thing, and they're really beautiful looking too. And the bottom of them is really cool because it's open to allow access to the battery door on your cameras as well. So you don't sacrifice anything by attaching this to your camera. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I'll put a link to the product page for those on the YouTube channel. They're totally cool. I'm probably getting one for the EM10. I
I
don't,
was just gonna say I can see that. I can see that with your strap already on the camera.
and I don't need the extra room or the grip on. I like the way the EM10 fits in my hand, but I'll get it just because I like the way it looks, and I like to support people that do the handcrafted stuff. So pretty cool to
Yeah,
check
it's
out.
cool. Definitely cool. Well, let's see. Next on our big news list, if you'd have to be under a rock or something if you haven't haven't heard, there's a little conference going on in Chicago in June. The Out of Chicago conference, photography conference in June 26th to 28th, announced this week out to everyone, and we've got some. Actually, it sounds like tonight. I just got an email from Chris Smith, the one who's putting it on. He says you can use this code and tonight through midnight to get it down to $249. We also have some codes, Jamie and I, and we can put those on the site that you'll be able to do the same thing up through April, I think. But if you want to get in there early, amazing photographers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You got Thomas Luther, Valerie Jardin. I'm really messing up names. Marie Lango. You got Brian Peterson. That was an easy name. Two guys I know, Jamie McDonald and Mike Baining, are going to be there. Those are easy names for me. But there's going to be some amazing classes, but then the photo walks, and that's different. I mean, I've been to a lot of photo conferences, and you don't get a lot of these photo walks. I mean, there might be impromptu ones that people do, but these are scheduled photo walks where you're going to go out. 15 people is a limit on some of these, and you're going out. I know I'm doing. Jamie and I are doing a couple together. I'm doing one with Valerie, which I'm very excited about. We're going down to Wicker Park neighborhood in Chicago. It's awesome place. There's Chris is providing us transportation to get down there and back. We're going to eat lunch while we're down there on this photo walk. But you can't go wrong. You're not going to get that kind of real quick intro to Valerie and see her when she's traveling all over the world. And I think, like Jamie always says, he's been saying a lot. It's just he's amazed that he's there. I'm amazed that I'm there, and I'm amazed I'm getting to do that with Valerie because, hey, that's one of the people that I'm always looking at and working with. So it's going to be a fun time. Out of Chicago, we'll put all the links in there, but I definitely suggest you check it out. I went last year. It's very relaxed atmosphere. You don't have to be anywhere near someone who's a pro photographer. In fact, the more beginner you are, the better it is because you're going to learn from so much, and the classes that we're given is set up from beginner to pro. Doesn't really matter. So I think we're gonna have a good time. I know we're sharing lots of links back and forth and a lot of information lately, but it is going to be a long time. It's still 6 months away, and if you're living in Michigan, looking forward to June is real nice right about now.
And it is appropriate to mention that conference on this show as well too, because there are numerous mirrorless camera users there. Thomas Luther is big time Olympus user. I know there are going to be some Panasonic shooters there as well. So we're not out of line. Well, and the fact that we're going to be there probably helps a bit too for plugging the mirrorless thing. But
yeah,
and like Mike said, if don't feel like you can't go because you aren't ready yet or anything like that. Because I agree with Mike. I think the newer you are to photography, probably the more you're going to get out of this than anybody anyways. And if you're an advanced user, then you're probably going to want to go just to have the experience of shooting with some of these people that are at the level that they're at. I know I'm geeked about that part. So.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I know. I think we've been talking back and forth. I'm nervous that we're doing all these photo walks. I don't want to miss some of them. I want to be in some of them. But we'll figure a way to get in, I'm sure.
And then another little bit of news that we want to talk about, I'm really excited about this one, is so we've got the website Mirrorless Minutes, and if you are a regular visitor to the site, you might have noticed something new on the site or seen us mentioning it or tweeting about it or linking people to it. We've got a new section on the site called the Bradley Minute, and it is being maintained by a really good friend of mine, Tammy Lee Bradley. She is phenomenal photographer. If you go see what she shoots, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. She was a part of the Olympus Visionary program. She was part of the Samsung Image Logger program, and now she's just kind of doing this freelance thing, and she's got this great concept, this great project that she's working on, and we're totally lucky to have her doing this project through our website. She's got a list of 16 mirrorless cameras that over the course of the next year or so, she's going to rent these cameras out and put them through their paces, and she's going to share what she's shooting with them and just kind of give, a real world look at what it's like using these cameras. It's not going to be this big crazy technical specs heavy, kind of review. It's going to be, this is what it's like if you rent X camera and X lens and you go out and you just shoot and enjoy using the camera. So if you get a chance, swing on by mirrorlessminutes.com, and at the top of the page you'll see the links to the different sections of our site, and go check out the Bradley Minute. You'll definitely be glad you did. So,
yeah, and I think that really enhances our site too, because I know everybody gives us a bunch of junk about Olympus, because that's all we're talking about. But this puts it in. This puts it in different perspective about all these mirrorless cameras, and being such a good photographer, she gives some good angles, not just for the best photographers, for normal people that want to pick up a camera and shoot maybe every other weekend. I thought she had some good ideas already on the first couple I've seen her post.
yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be definitely fun. I'm going to combine my last two real quick. Just to give you an announcement again, we'll give a shout out to Terry McKay, who's put us out on the web and got us. He also is the same person after tonight. He'll take this broadcast and he'll put it out and make it an audio podcast. So if you're listening in your car, I listen to podcasts constantly in my car. Different podcasts. But I can tell you, we are on iTunes, and so if you're out on iTunes, we'd love a review. We love those 5-star reviews. I think probably the best. But
yeah,
we love a positive, because that'll get us up, get us more recognized as far as the podcast goes, and get more people involved, and ability to maybe interview some new people, and that. And just speaking real quickly about websites, I'll talk quickly about it, but you'll see it is real. I've been working for months on my new website. Sort of got rid of that whole Memories by Mike and all the sports shooting I was doing, and really more focused on street, urban, and really education. And that's where the future is, at least for me. And so now at MikeBaining.com, a lot easier for me to remember how to put it in. But go out and check it out. There's right now we've got a photo walk out there. We're getting ready to list a Chicago workshop that's going to be right after out of Chicago. That'll be exciting. And then I know Jamie and I are going to be meeting real soon here and talking about doing a Mirrorless Minutes workshop that we're excited about. We got a pretty cool idea I think we can put together. So get out there and check those things out. And I'll let you go next thing, or whatever you want to go
okay.
to.
So I guess we'll kind of do the thing that the thing that I really like to do is to do the screen share and show what we've been shooting over the last couple of weeks, or since the last show, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will start that now.
All right.
All right. So up on my screen, you should see a bald eagle returning to its nest with a big old branch in its hand. Buddy of mine, I guess I'll go back a little bit further. Just prior to Christmas, my wife and I were going to look at a camper and decided to take some back roads on the way home. My wife is pretty obliging when it comes to my photography. She suggested that we go out of our way so that I could maybe find some photographic opportunities. And we rounded a bend on this country road, and in this open field, I'm not sure what type of tree this is, but it's kind of standing out, almost on its own, and I see this humongous thing in the tree, and I instantly knew what it was. I mean, I'm probably a half a mile away, and I immediately start to slow down. My wife puts her hands up to the dash thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I said, it's an eagle's nest in the tree. She thinks I'm out of my mind, and I told her I'm pretty certain it is, so I got my camera out, of course, and zoomed in, at 210 millimeters, and sure enough, I see two white heads in the nest. So that's how I found the nest. I had a couple of weeks off over the holidays, and I brought a buddy of mine, David Bostador, back to that location with me to photograph the eagles, and we were lucky enough to witness the eagles taking turns flying away from the nest and returning with branches to maintain their nest. And so we're watching, and I noticed that one of the eagles starts making, I don't know what you call it when a bird does a call, I guess a bird call, making these crazy noises, which was actually exciting to hear. And I saw an eagle returning in the distance. I figured it was one of the ones we saw earlier, or the one who had left the nest. And as it got closer, I realized, oh my gosh, it's a juvenile bald eagle because it didn't have its white head yet. And well, I recognized what it was. So we were fortunate enough to sit here and watch 2 juvenile eagles hanging around the nest, as well as 2 adults. So for me, that was kind of a humongous deal. These shots are probably an eighth of a mile away. It's private property. We couldn't go onto the property. So this is with the 40-150 f2.8 Pro with the MC14 teleconverter, the 1.4 teleconverter on it. So I'm out at 210 millimeters at f4, and I'll tell you what, I'm not a bird photographer by trade by any means, but in this scene right here, the image that I've got up right now, I have probably 40 photos of these 2 flying around each other over these trees. I had no problem keeping focus or jumping from one bird to the other and locking focus. So I was pretty impressed with the way that lens and teleconverter combination worked out. So that's my big bird thing. So this is a scene from Grand Haven, Michigan, which is on the west side of the state, right on Lake Michigan. This is how I spent my New Year's Day with, again, my friend David Bostador. We were fortunate enough to be tipped off by a friend and viewer of our show, Bob Panic, that there's a good chance that there would be large waves on Lake Michigan. So upon seeing that message on Facebook, I started doing some search on live webcams along Lake Michigan and came across the one for Grand Haven, Michigan, and noticed the waves were gigantic. Immediately posted the call out on Facebook, hey, who wants to hit the west side of the state? So David jumped right in there and said, all right, I'm packing my gear up, let's go. So we get to the beach, probably sustained, consistent 35 to 40 mile an hour winds. The wind never stopped the entire time we were there. It's pretty intense, as you can see from the look on Dave's face here. But the main reason we went wasn't to shoot photos of Dave. It was to shoot the pier in Grand Haven being pummeled by massive waves. This was shot, again, this is at the full extent of the lens. I'm probably a third of the way out on the pier. So this is at, again, 210 millimeters. I'm shooting with that same combo I shot the eagles with. And let me just tell you, if you see conditions like this on a pier, don't go on the pier. I came pretty close to getting swept off my feet by a wave that came darn near to my knees as it washed across the pier. And the pier, as you can see, is solid ice, driving winds and snow. But it was worth the shot. My camera got soaked, and I was shooting, and probably a few, I don't know, maybe a minute or so after this photo was taken, it got to where I couldn't hardly see the end of the pier, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's snowing this hard, because I had the camera up to my face the entire time. I pulled the camera down and realized it's not snowing that hard. I looked the front element of my lens, and it was pretty much caked with ice. So I had to go back to the car and actually chip the ice off of the front element. So you want to talk about weather sealing on your Olympus cameras? It's phenomenal. I had no issues. And again, just another shot from along the pier, so you can kind of get an idea of the height of the waves. The waves, I've got several pictures where they're breaking over the top of this house at the end there. So that's probably a good 30 feet up. When they hit the end of the pier, they just explode over the top, and phenomenal. Like I said, it was completely, incredibly insane, the conditions that I shot in, and I was soaking wet from the knees down, and my camera iced up probably 3 times where I couldn't even see out of it. And it didn't slow me down, it didn't stop me. I just go back into the car, get out a lens cloth, and start taking the ice off of the front of the lens and go back out and shoot some more. So
that shot of Dave is crazy. He looks like he's walking in the apocalypse or something.
It was intense. It was intense. Yeah. So, but
I know you shared that one shot of another photographer. He wasn't with you, was he? The guy leaning.
He was lying down.
That was wrong.
He was lying down on the pier, and after what happened to me.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't lay down on the pier.
No, you'll be taken away. All right, let's see if I can get things to work here. Should. Yeah. Okay. Do you see Vegas up there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Phew. All right. I was worried about that for a minute. Well, this actually, I talked about Vegas on our last call, but I wanted to throw this one in. I guess just in honor of CES is going on right now, and this is taken with the Panasonic 8 millimeter fisheye, and a little bit of work in Lightroom to straighten it out a tiny bit, just so it's not so curved at the edges. Obviously, still is, but a lot of people shoot. This is the Bellagio fountain, and I know a lot of people shoot that in front of the Bellagio fountain, so you get the real cool like Ocean's 11 shot, with all the fountain going. But I went behind the fountain this time and shot it from the other side, and with the Eiffel Tower, or the make-believe Eiffel Tower there, of Paris and the Planet Hollywood, just a whole different look. And the new, you can see it in the middle on the left side, the new Ferris wheel that they have there, 550 feet in the air. I did go on that thing. Each car holds 25 people, and it never moves. It doesn't swing. It's not like a Ferris wheel you're used to. Some amazing shots though from that high of Vegas. So cool thing if you're there. This is an interesting week. Normally you might see some shots, people or street photography. This is all like an all landscape week almost for me. I also had some time off over the holidays here, so we went out. Actually, we were with Terry McKay here, Lou Peoples, and Ed Sorecki. We found an abandoned building that got us up pretty high, maybe 20 floors, and went to the roof and was able to get a shot of the infamous, that's our train station in Detroit, the Michigan Central Station, which I think yesterday celebrated its 27th year. I might be off a couple, as being closed. And it's been one of two things, either an eyesore, it's been a real political back and forth, the train station, but it's a very sharp building. It is the one building you can get in, but you're taking your life in your hands because Homeland Security actually patrols this area.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because right on to the left there you see the Ambassador Bridge going over to Canada, and that Ambassador Bridge in Canada. So of course we've got Homeland Security all over the place there, and I would not venture into the building. But it is very sharp, and this is an early morning sunrise, and I'm trying to think here. Oh, this one was with the 40-150. This is with the 40-150 Pro. Actually, just about out. I think it was 40 millimeter I shot it on too. Same area a little bit later in the morning as the sun was actually rising here, is the spanse with the 9-18 Olympus lens. Give you a little bit of idea of how wide, and Detroit's over the city is actually over on the left, and you can see how wide this area is here. But you can see how you see right through it too. They're actually putting some windows in here, and going to put in a freight elevator and try to beautify it a bit. So that's exciting, actually, for those of us that see it all the time.
Well, I know that building's been featured in several movies too. One of the Transformers movies, and
yep, yeah, Eminem's had it in a lot of videos that he's done. It's very cool, and I definitely know a few people that have been able to get in, and it's worth it if you can. I wouldn't chance it though. We're not saying to do that here on the show. Then the next one here is we flipped over one morning very early, went out with Alana and back with Terry and another photographer, Fritz, and we went over to Canada and shot the Detroit skyline, trying to get the sun. The sun rises behind the skyline, so we were trying to get it to bounce off the reflections of the buildings. And actually, the blue hour in the morning was the sharpest time. At least in my mind. We didn't have the greatest sun when it came up, but this is just an amazing shot, and I cannot tell you how cold it was because I was laying on these rocks. It was cold. I'll just say that. It was extremely cold laying out by the water. But this is a 13-second exposure done with the 12-40 lens, and you know what? I just love the colors that pop out of this thing. Just coming right out of that lens, and trying to put in a little foreground there with the rocks and that. It's a beautiful area to see the Detroit skyline is from the Windsor side. And I think even the guy at Border Patrol, when we crossed back over, he says, "Why aren't you shooting the Windsor skyline?" I don't think any of us could come up with a good reason because it's not very exciting. So no disrespect to our Canadian viewers if there are some. But and then our last one, I had to get a person in here. Our last one is I went out to our Detroit Institute of Arts and did a little street photography indoors when it's this cold. And just thought it's an interesting shot. It's done with the EM10 and the 17 millimeter lens that I just love, the 1.8 for street photography. And this is shot at f2 at ISO 5000. Really nothing done to it much after. I mean, I just brought it into Lightroom. I've probably added a tiny bit of vignette to the top area there. But that's it, and brought it back out, 5,000 ISO. And these rooms are not lit. Believe me, I think I shot a couple that were in the 12,000 range. So it's really neat shot. Just looking at it, just wondering who's admiring who here. That's sort of the feel that I was trying to get. And interesting, keeping the cameras quiet enough, you're not bothering anybody, and fun to take shots in there and stay warm. So that's sort of the week that I had. All of these landscape photos. I feel like I'm Jamie now, doing all this landscape stuff. But yeah, so that's a lot of fun. What else? What else do you got?
Well, so I think the other week I was talking about wanting to share tips, or maybe I wasn't talking about. Maybe it was just in my head, but so I want to try to offer up a little something every time we do a show. I mean, it might not necessarily be anything groundbreaking. It might just be something new that I'm working on, or something that I've been playing with. And so for I'm not one of those big New Year's resolution kind of guys, but this year I kind of sat back and thought to myself, I do need to make a few changes in some of the stuff that I do with my photography and what I do online. And one of the things that I haven't really been doing seriously is using Instagram to benefit my photography in any way, or to share anything that I do. Generally, for me, Instagram has literally been kind of how it started out, or how the majority of people would use it, and that is, taking a photo with my phone and sharing that. And the reason I never used it with my photography is because square format. And I hate it, when I take a shot in my camera, I'm composing at the 4:3 aspect ratio or whatever, or if I'm shooting 16:9 or something like that, whatever. And I hate cropping. I hate changing my composition to suit an app or to suit a certain outlet. And then I thought, why should I have to do it that way? My camera has the ability to shoot in a 1:1 ratio. And so my little tip, or the little thing that I'm doing, and I invite other people to try it, is to take advantage of the My Sets feature in your Olympus cameras. And if I get feedback from people saying, what are My Sets? What are you talking about? What is this? Then I will be glad to put together a video showing you how to set them up. But basically what the My Set that I'm using is, it's on my EM1 right now, the one that I'm starting to work with, or using a lot, is going to be that if I flip it over, I've got two My Sets set up for this. One of them is going to put my camera automatically into black and white, or my custom monotone setting, and the 1:1 aspect ratio. And the other one is using an art filter. I'm going to have it set up so that I go into my art filter mode, and I like the vintage art filter. And again, the 1:1 aspect ratio. And what that's going to do for me is, because I've always got one of my cameras with me, I can take what I consider, and people are going to kill me for this, a real photo with a real camera. Don't hate me, iPhone people. Don't kill me for that. But for me, just benefit of the doubt here, real picture for me with a real camera, and then of course, using the Wi-Fi and the OI Share app on my phone, then I can pop that great high quality, photo that was taken with my camera, and then share that on Instagram. So a big thing for me this year is going to be to start, sharing, my photography, my real photography on Instagram. And, again, the benefit of me doing it with a camera versus the phone is that, I've got a wall full of incredible glass over here that I can use to my advantage. You know, I'm not going to be stuck with a fixed focal length lens like on a phone. So my Instagram feed is not going to be full of camera shots this year. It's going to be full of good photos. So again, that's my little tip, is to get outside of the norm. If you're using an Olympus camera, change the aspect ratio and shoot in the 1:1 format. Fire them over to your phone, pop them up on Instagram, and share some like high quality photos from your big camera. Well, your big little camera, better than your phone.
That's a good idea. I mean, I don't use Instagram enough at all either, and that is always the issue. Is that, man, it messes me up, that square format. But if you shoot that way, and so that's a great idea. Great idea. One last thing I think I'll put forth to you. I know we're close, but is I am offering this month. I've got a free photo walk to the Detroit Auto Show. I think it's the 17th or the 25th, the actual auto show. But we're going to do a photo walk and maybe a little scavenger hunt on the last day we'll meet. So go on my website. Still like 4 spots left, I think. And if you want to come out and join us, it's indoors. So no matter how cold it is, you should be fine. And we'll shoot for about 2 hours, do a little street photography indoors there. And I think, one last thing, because you can sort of see it. I'll move a little bit, but I got some photos hanging behind me. One of my goals this year is to start printing some things. So I've got a new printer ordered. These aren't from that printer, but I want to start printing my 5 best each month, and by the end of the year, have 60 or 50 or 60 so images that are actually on high quality paper that could be archived and saved that way. Someone can look at maybe in 30, 40 years when I'm not, maybe around, and they're looking through my stuff. I'd love to have that available. So, but I just think that when you start looking at these prints, and that's why I hung some behind me, and I'll try to change those out. It's a lot more fun. It really makes the photography seem so much more special, because I know we're all involved in the Facebook and Google Plus, and we're inundated with posts everywhere. I know Jamie did some printing. I think you gave some as gifts, didn't you?
Yeah.
Those are amazing. I mean, that one of the chair in the abandoned school. It looks so much better. I mean, it looked great. It looks great on Facebook. It does. But boy, just seeing the picture of your print,
it changes everything to have a print. Yeah.
Yeah. It really does. So I think that's exciting to see. And I think that's a bit. I know we're going to do another show. We're going to try to come up with, every third week we're going to try to get an interview on. So next week will be somewhat of a normal show, but that third week, I guess we could announce them now. We're gonna have one of our longtime people that we talk about, an educator, and that Virginia, William Booz, is going to be on. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, but it's B-O-O-Z. If you don't follow him on Facebook or Google Plus, you should, because he's got great ideas. He's always doing flash work. He does workshops, and he is into Olympus. And he definitely knows his stuff, and he's experienced, going from, I think, Canon. I think he shot Canon, selling it all, and going into Olympus. So I think that'll be good. And then we've got a real nice group of people coming up for interviews, and that. So if you know anyone, or you feel you have something to offer, especially you shoot Sony, you shoot Fuji, we don't care. We'll have you on. About mirrorless minutes, so we want to be able to do that. And outside of that, I think that's everything there for me.
Yeah, I think that about covers it. And just like I said at the beginning of the show, there will be links on the YouTube video for this broadcast, including links to William Booz's online locations, so you guys can get to know him before he comes on the show.
Yeah,
and
great.
And like Mike said, if you're a podcast subscriber, please subscribe to the podcast. If you get a minute, give us a great review. That would be awesome. Or at least say, hey, we're listening to you guys, so we know you're out there. So I guess until the next show, you guys take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take it easy. Stay warm.